Hey, successful minded people, I hope you are doing fantastic today. My name is Marcus. Welcome to Discover Ignite. And today I am doing a book review for you guys. The book we are reviewing is called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Now, if you guys don't know who Napoleon Hill is, he is a phenomenal author. He has written tons of successful books that, tons of successful people have read, to include one of his very most popular books, which is How to Think and Grow Rich, which I think it takes a specific mindset to even read that particular book. But like I've read, after reading this book, Outwitting the Devil, like this book really made me love Napoleon Hill and what his success stories were about, and I've read a countless number of his books. I think I've read almost all his books. He has so many books. I probably have not read all his books, but his books are phenomenal. And just, talking about his book, especially this particular book, because I've read this book so many times, and I'm not joking, this is one of my favorite books. This has got to be number one or number two of all the books I've read. This is a phenomenal book, and I always come back to this book every couple of books just because of the story that he shares in the book, which is essentially about how he was going through the depression, and everything was just hard to get through, and he didn't know, everything was just falling apart. Essentially, life was falling apart, the sky was falling down. He didn't know what to do, and he was just trapped, essentially, is what he was. And he essentially locked himself up and was like, you know what, I am gonna figure this out. I'm not gonna leave here until I figure this out. And that's exactly what he did, but he morphed it into this conversation with the devil. And it's just, so it leads up to roughly around about halfway through the book or so, I think it is, or a third of the way through, is when he starts getting the conversation with the devil. And it's just, the conversation he has with the devil is just phenomenal. And it truly breaks down every person that is trying to do something to be successful. He essentially unravels everything with the devil, this conversation he has with the devil. Now, if you can get past the fact that this conversation is with the devil, right? And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, it's about the devil. If you could just put that aside, right? If you could just take the concepts out of this book, which the concepts out of this book are some of the best concepts I've ever came across. And I have read tons of self-help books, and this is by far, like I said, one of my number one or two books that I always go to. And Napoleon Hill, like I said, I've read a bunch of his other success books, and his books are phenomenal. Aside from the Think and Grow Rich, I think is a little bit further out there than some of these success books that I've read, but this book is by far, if you haven't read this book, I'm telling you right now, it's great. It's a must read if you are trying to be successful in your life. And I think that's the biggest thing is, dealing with a lot of this stuff, trying to be successful, you're trying to figure out, it's like a constant battle, you're always second guessing yourself. You're always wondering if what you're doing is going to lead to good things. And this book is like that conversation. One of the big key concepts out of this book was just drifting, right? He asked a specific question to the devil about why is it that, it's essentially talking about drifting, right? People drift through life, right? And they wonder why they don't get what they want out of life. And that's because you're drifting. You have never really thought deep down to yourself, well, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to go after. This is what I'm going to take action on. People just drift through life. And then the devil uses this as one of his primary concepts, one of his primary techniques that he uses to trap people, to cause them to just drift, because people want stuff to be thrown in their lap, and that just doesn't happen that way. And he goes through a bunch of these different concepts, and this is one of the big takeaways from this book that I got, was just don't allow yourself to drift through life. Like, if you're gonna drift, you're not gonna get riches, you're not gonna, get the girl you want, you're not gonna get the job you want, you're not gonna get anything you want if you just allow yourself to drift and accept whatever comes your way. Sometimes you can get lucky, I would think, and you might get something along the way that is good, and then sometimes you may not. Sometimes you might just be dealt a bad hand after hand after hand. And that's what it is just essentially talking about. If you want to be successful, if that is something you truly want, you got to get up and you just got to do it. You got to take care of it. And when you have that little voice in the back of your head that keeps trying to talk you out of stuff, and that's the thing. Like, if you can get over the devil thing and you just use the devil as like that little voice in the back of your head, which is essentially what this is all about. It's like, move past it. Don't allow that voice to take over. Whenever that voice comes to the back of your head, you just override it. You override it and you just keep plugging along. Now, as far as like any kind of like bad things about this book, I really don't have anything bad to say about this book. I mean, I have an updated version of the book, so they go back through and they'll have like different scenes with the devil and stuff like that throughout the book, and then they'll have a third person come in and kind of explain up to date some of the information and theories about what they're talking about, which I think is kind of takes away from the book. And I should probably just buy the original book, because I like the original writings of the book instead of the updated version a lot better, because I understand the concepts of the book. And the concepts, I mean, some of them are kind of a little out there, but for the most part, I would say a good chunk of the book I can get from the original writing. So that was just one of the biggest negatives, I guess, about the book. I didn't really have anything bad to say, and like I said, I have tons of positive things to say about this book. Like I said, I read it so many times. It is good. It is good. So if you guys are looking for a good read, if you are into success, into self-development, and are looking for your next read, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill is the book for you. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this book review, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And you want to see any more book reviews, I also got tons of other stuff on success and just making yourself better. Please subscribe, and until next time, I will see you guys later.